Friends, a month of war in Ukraine and the end is yet not in sight. On political situation, North Korea has fired another ICBM over the Sea of Japan. The Biden's visit in Brussels and later in Poland, which is being shown world over, has many outcomes. But the most important is the NATO's chief, Stoltenberg, and NATO itself has fallen in line what Washington had been telling them and wanting. Stoltenberg had earlier been shouting, screaming that they will teach Russia a lesson and help Ukraine physically, militarily. And Poland, in fact, was ready to send a peace team, peacekeeping force in Ukraine. But all of them have now fallen in line and accepted that whatever USA says they will follow. This shows who is the boss. This shows what is the worth of European Union, not only militarily, but also economically and politically. Whatever France earlier and later Germany were trying to jump and say and show their presence in European Union has fizzled out totally. In fact, one of the commentators rightly said that Putin is bombing NATO. Yes, Putin is bombing, Russia is bombing NATO, but in Ukraine, which Washington knows well, and Washington knows well that to bleed Russia, they no need to enter into Ukraine, which might lead another dimension of war. And the fire and heat of that will be even felt in USA to the extent that it may get destroyed itself. Well, UNO in the meantime first time has said that the civil casualties have crossed 1,000 in Ukrainian war in this 1 month. And Foreign Minister of China has visited India. That global leaders are getting opportunity to move around all over. And some of the global leaders are very fond of going to other countries. It's a beautiful time pass. It's not extra work for them. It's a luxury. Friends, it's a luxury. Economically, there is nothing much to say that except after the North Korean ICBM test, US has levied another or more strict economic sanctions on North Korea as well as on China. Russia, we need not talk about that. Moscow stock market opened up yesterday after weeks of closure and it was bullish. Yes, that's the news. Price rise of energy and other essential commodities in India, which was stopped forcefully by the monopolies as 5 states, 5 provinces were undergoing election, have restarted during and while the war is continuing. On military front, I must tell you about non-retrievable landmines which has been planted in Donbass region in thousands by Ukrainian army, and that is creating problem for both LPR, DPR and even Russian armies to move forward because it is extremely difficult to extricate them, detonate them. I mean, first to identify them that where they exist, it is extremely difficult. And this probably was being done. These Ukrainians must be knowing, they must be having data on this, but this was being done well before the war. They were preparing to attack LPR and DPR, but got counter-attacked by Russia a month back. In the meantime, the Russian army claims that they have full control over Ingium. That is a region in Kharkiv, approximately 100 kilometers south of Kharkiv city. NATO spokesperson has said that they're concerned about the NATO arms and ammunition that is being supplied to Ukraine. It is not falling to the combat units, but to the paramilitary groups as well as extremists. Whom are they trying to tell? I am not aware. But Lavrov has commented on this, that it will also spill over in European countries. Yes, it is likely. In the meantime, there is a big news that Russian landing ship, one of the biggest, or probably the biggest landing ship, Orsk, which was operating since last week in Berdyansk, was supplying arms and ammunitions and even for their troops, has been hit by Ukrainian Navy. I am surprised Ukrainian Navy still exists. However, it is not sure from where did the missile come. It could be from the land as well, and has damaged it heavily. Along with another ship which was nearby has been also hit badly. The Russians haven't so far acknowledged it. Just to let you know how big it was, it could carry 45 armored vehicles together, including tanks, plus 400 army personnel. In the meantime, Kadyrov, the Chechen chief, has claimed that left bank of Mariupol districts has been totally cleared of Ukrainian military. Kiev and its outskirts like Kalino, south of Kiev, are under heavy bombing, and so is Kharkiv airport and surroundings. Probably this could be the revenge, and Russians would have realized that slow movement is damaging them, harming them much more. The after effect of their ship was hit, and ship being hit, it is a surprise. Not only land, but the counter-offensive is approaching even ships. Well, that is as far as the military situation is concerned. The area-wise progress is not much more. To conclude from my side, a propaganda machinery, how it works, I will quote American right-wing portal, mintpress.com. You can have a look. It, in a boastful fashion, claims and exposes how system of strategic Ukrainian propaganda works. It says that it's partner media, it's peer group media, that is Western and European Union media and other, not only Western, like let's say Israeli, Japanese and others, they work. The information well in advance is passed to them. The detailed information, how to cover, what to cover, is already given. For example, when the blocking of Zaporizhzhia and Chernobyl nuclear power plants was to be carried out, about no-flying zone, which the Ukrainian government started, that we want no-fly zone. Zelenskyy had been shouting on that, wanted NATO help directly, the fighter planes and other weapons. So they knew it well before. The moment he spoke, the entire media went on to this to create war mania, further war mania. And information and psychological warfare are part and parcel of this war. This is, the profit is not only to the war industries, but also to the war, to the media, to the corporate media and other such industries. While talking on Profiteers, the profit goes to whom? War industries, big oil companies, players in other expensive natural ores like rhodium used in automobile, platinum, lithium, rechargeable battery, like huge amounts they are found in Afghanistan. Okay, I will not go in detail because this will have a massive changes in the entire scenario which I am talking. So therefore, US imperialism, which I was talking about and gave example, has European Union totally under its grip. Just before the war, they were jumping here and there, like France over Australian submarine deals, Germany over something, else, once they were exposed about how the American and Britishers were spying over their own leaders, European leaders, top leaders, and etc. etc. But now that also exposes how free and independent is your Zelenskyy, the war hero Zelenskyy. How independent and sovereign is Ukraine? Well, friends, leave it to your imagination. But you must understand, this war is not merely the break in balance of power between two imperialist camps. One is led by the USA, 30 NATO, and other non-NATO members like Japan and others, which includes even India, Brazil, Israel, which have more than 800 military bases globally in more than 70 countries. And of course, other side is Russia, which is rising militarily. After the war, what happens, we don't know. And had been worrying and wanting to control the NATO expansion in Ukraine and its other countries, neighboring countries. And of course, naturally, to safeguard its own capitalists and capital expansion. I must tell you, to end my talk, that 23 years before, just today, NATO had started bombing Yugoslavia. The effect we know. And there is a huge procession going on in Belgrade against NATO atrocities. No to NATO. Thank you, friends.